Sleeping Giant Squid out of San Francisco and Sacramento, California. I mean, obviously, the namesake, we do kind of follow the namesake a lot. It's a very nautical themed band, a lot of shit about the ocean and anything pertaining to the ocean, anything pertaining to water, I mean, whether it be fucking creeks, streams, lakes. It's all related to that in so many ways. There's a lot of stuff just kind of about the wilderness and nature in its own right, mountains, fucking summits, you know, cabins I've lived in up in the mountains, cabins my parents built, stuff like that. But the thing is, all of that is really metaphoric in the lyrics, where even though it sounds and reads like I'm talking about like shark sensory organs and the different uses of shark livers, in reality I'm talking about heartbreak and stuff with my parents, stuff with relationships gone bad. I mean, the usual bullshit that any rock band kind of sings about, but I usually relate it to stuff like marine invertebrates instead of, you know, high school sweethearts and shit like that. So there's always two meanings to almost every song we write, for sure. Very much, you can interpret it about being about sharks and whales and the conquering of those beasts. You can interpret it about being lied to by somebody you loved and trusted more than anything in the world. So I think that's why we could be so passionate when singing about stuff that people are like, I think they just sing about whales and fucking, you know, Moby Dick and shit. That guy's really going off, but it's because there's another meaning to all of it, for sure. The way we wrote it was very verse, chorus, bridge kind of thing, almost like pop structures, which is a little different from what we had been doing before for all the years previous. So we applied that to the new Metridium Fields, cut out parts that just didn't necessarily help. They were just kind of there because, you know, we were young, we were writing the songs, and sometimes you get carried away and you like to put 12 parts into a song that really only needs about 3 or 4. So, and then sound-wise, we really didn't have an understanding of gear and tone the first time we did Metridium Field the way we did the second time. Monster in the Creek, again, helped us learn that a lot. We definitely knew what we were going for with Monster in the Creek, and then I think gear-wise and tone-wise, we nailed that with Metridium Fields, and really had all the engineers involved understand that and go for that sound that we're going for, the big fuzzy down-tuned guitars, the big farty guitar tones. Lots of low end, but not so much low end that it takes away from everything else. And I think the record just sounds great. It's night and day from the first Metridium Field. It's drastically different live. I mean, Jackie plays an electric cello, and she's basically replacing 3 keyboards, a trumpet, and a second guitar all at the same time. So obviously there's melodies in the songs on the record that we had to kind of go, well, which is the most important melody? Which is the melody people are grooving to and identifying with more than the other? What's more important when we strip this down? And you know, we find that, and that's what she plays on the cello. If it sounds dorky on a cello, we usually will pick something else, or she'll even write her own parts. I mean, she's a songwriting, you know, machine. I mean, she's Jackie from Amber Asylum's like one of my favorite bands of all time. So she never has any problem finding the perfect thing to play for every part, whether it's emulating what the trumpet did at one time or 3 different keyboards. Yeah, we did have Scott on drums for a while, and he was a powerhouse and really brought a huge change in the feel of the band from the previous drummer, Mike. Mike was very jazz and dance orientated, very laid back, where Scott was very like, you could just tell the guy grew up on Pantera and Tool and was just like metal as hell. And Scott has left the band recently, another personnel change, and we have JD back, this guy right here, who basically wrote all these songs on Metridium Field with us, and is the first drummer on Metridium Field. So he's absolutely one of the best drummers I've ever fucking played with, and he's like one of my best friends, all of our best friends. So I'm not just saying that because you're right there, dude. But the opportunity to have him back in the band is like just precious to us, and it really all comes full circle. We don't ever think like, hey, you know, let's make a doom rock record, or let's make a punk rock polka record. Like, there's never any idea ahead of time of what we want to do. What's really cool is like Brian and I have been playing in this band or together for almost 12 years. We started very, very harsh high school punk rock. We went through, we used to be a reggae or punk rock band like the Subhumans and shit. And we just kept experimenting, kept doing weird stuff like down tuning or playing super heavy slow parts. We didn't even know what we were doing. If anybody had walked up to me and said, hey, that's kind of like a Melvins part, I would be like, fucking Melvins? I don't know who the fuck that is. Give me a Minor Threat record. You know what I mean? Like we were just, and I think that's what works in a weird way for us is we're not metal dudes at all. Like we don't really have any metal background. Most metal stuff we've only been discovering in the last 3, 4, or 5 years. We're total punks. Punk fucking rock all the way. And we basically, the riffs we're writing, all the stuff we're writing is just coming from an unschooled punk rock writing technique. I mean, basically, most of the riffs on Matrinian Field are punk rock riffs slowed way the hell down and down tuned, you know? I mean, if you sped them way up, if you played our record like high speed, you punk as fuck. And that's just because that's where we're coming from. Every member of the band always brings something really different. Jackie is very metal schooled. She's also very classically rock schooled. I mean, her favorite bands like ever are Judas Priest and UFO, just these classic, even Def Leppard and of course all that shit. Of course Sabbath all day long. I mean, where Misfits might be Brian's old favorite band and mine's Subhumans and JD is into all sorts of the old school classic rock and thrash and punk rock and metal. So when it all comes together, it's basically like here's the riff, JD comes up with a beat, Jackie comes up with a part, Brian always comes up with a bass groove that's just like mind-blowing. Okay, cool, that's the song, or that's that part, let's write the next part. There's never like the formulaic way to write a doom metal song is we would need to really break this down and growl and dude, like there's not, other than like maybe sometimes literally following almost a pop kind of structure as far as like part A, part B, part A, part B, bridge, part A, part B, which we do a little bit in our own variation. There's no formula to any of it. I mean, it's literally like, wouldn't it be fucking crazy if we did this crazy fast part after like 6 minutes of totally slow duet, Sure. Let's do it. Why not? And most people, seem to have liked it. So, this is Aaron from Giant Squid, and you're watching The Purification Process.